or lease in the morning.
Welcome, B-movie fans, to another B-movie chat. Perhaps the most important question of our age, right up there with, are we alone in the universe? And what is the meaning of life? Is what exactly is a B-movie? Before television, movie theaters were the primary source of entertainment, visually. Theaters would show a popular feature film that the audience would come to see. However, the main showing would be followed by a lower-budget film, often of inferior quality. These low-budget films became known as B-movies, while the more expensive and more popular films that preceded them became known as A-movies. However, despite changes in viewing preferences, the term B-movie has survived while the original purpose of such films has long since been abandoned. The term B-movie has become confused and seems to vary from person to person. Some people will describe any low-budget film as a B-movie, while others will call any movie of poor quality a B-movie. The term B-movie persists despite the ambiguity of its meaning, so today we will be discussing what exactly is a B-movie. Joining us today is filmmaker, B-movie legend, and founder of Polonia Brothers Entertainment, Mark Polonia. Mark, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Thanks for joining.
Oh, love having you on.
Yeah, that's the big question. What is a B-movie?
And I mean,
that's a tough question.
And that classic thing always comes to mind. And we're fortunate enough here in Pittsburgh where we still have one drive-in theater. So I mean, they do have, two movies playing, but they're both A movies anymore.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
So like, I wish for the day that I could see, the A and B movie together.
True.
But I don't know. To me, a B movie just has some kind of terrible quality to it, whether it is big budget, low budget, or something. Just a quality that just for some reason doesn't seem to work, or is so bad that it makes it work even more.
Yeah, it's like you had said, a B movie was a second or third feature, sometimes both, that was either produced by a major company or it was financed outside of them to be shown on a double or triple bill. But those days are gone. The interesting thing is that a lot of B movie units kept big major studios open because their movies consistently made money while their movies didn't. So it was kind of a parasitic relationship. They were embarrassed that they had these movies in their library and that they made them, but that's probably consistently the only thing that made them money on a regular basis. Once the and that's where B movie comes from, A B picture. Now that playing field's gotten skewed. I guess technically now, if we look at the old definition, a B movie is anything that doesn't play theatrically. Or, like people say, you make B movies, and I'm like, no, I don't make B movies. I make micro-budget movies. A low-budget movie or a B movie is like between $3 and $8 million, and I sure in hell never had that much to make a movie yet. So what is a B movie? I think a B movie is any kind of film that goes out of the norm. It's made independently of a huge Hollywood system. It somehow manages to get released. It somehow manages to get watched and reviewed. In a B movie, I don't think can be really classified by budget. B movies don't really exist. If you look at Kong Skull Island, that's a B movie. It just cost $180 million. Because that's the kind of movie that a big studio would have sub-produced to have on a double bill with Hello Dolly back in the day. That's the thing. B movies were often an embarrassment to these companies, but they stopped making them. They stopped outsourcing them because they decided we'll make them ourselves, and they turned out in the form of Star Wars is just a big budget B movie. Jurassic Park is just a big budget B movie. I mean, I don't care what they say. They aren't A pictures. They're expensive movies with B movie ideals and mentalities because they know that's what works. So I think your definition is correct. A B movie is some quirky idea or some strange, fantastic plot that somehow defies the norm and entertains people. I guess that's the simple definition of it.
Yeah, it's definitely strange because nowadays, they'll be like, "Oh, this is a low budget film, but it's made for like $1 million." It's like that's not a low budget as far as I'm concerned. But there's so many movies that are made for multiple millions of dollars that like it's very hard to describe.
And then
I mean, should a movie cost $180 million? Think about that. You could end world hunger if you made 10 of those movies at that budget. And entertainment is so disposable these days. Like, the new Star Wars movie. When the original Star Wars came out, I was there. That movie was in a theater for a year and a half, nonstop. The one that just came out, already gone.
Oh my God!
It's already gone. It's that disposable. That doesn't make it a bad movie, but that's the generation and that's the world we live in now, is that something that huge and expensive and overhyped and over-advertised in 1 month is completely forgotten.
And that's one of the things I love the original Star Wars trilogy. I will say I enjoy the prequel trilogy for having grown up and seeing them all in theaters. But seeing what was The Force Awakens really has deterred me from seeing new Star Wars things, because there was nothing new, there was nothing original, and was it entertaining for the 2 hours I sat there? Yes. Do I want to sit through it again for any reason? No.
Do I remember most of it? Yeah, I don't even remember most of it.
I didn't see Rogue One when it just came out because I was like, I saw The Force Awakens and I saw it.
Yeah. It was very manufactured. You could tell that there was somebody in a boardroom going with a checklist. Well, we need this, we need that, and I kind of think that's one of the things that separates most B movies from A movies. Is not that an A movie doesn't have a story trying to be told, but I feel like when it comes to independent films or what would be considered B movies now, is it doesn't really think about well, I need this, this, and this. It's I have an idea and I want to get it made, and I don't really have 1 million people telling me how to make my film. And I think that at this point, most B movies don't have a ton of people making a film. It's still somewhat individualized. I remember reading the original script from Star Wars. It's very different from the final product, but that's because they had a bunch of people going through it, re-editing, and you see that more and more now. I heard some movies will have 45 different edits, and then if you look at the original version, it's a completely different film. And it's just I feel now one thing that would be considered B movies is something that it'll have a few rewrites, because you gotta have a couple rewrites, but it'll have as few rewrites as possible without losing the original story.
Right. Well, again, that's the thing. Movies made at that level, there's so much gambling on it that there's so many people with their hands in it, and they all want a piece of it, that it's destined to get muddled. It's just, there's so many people's visions in there. It's not like the old days where the director was in charge. The director has no power today on a movie, unless there's very few directors that do. But most of the time it's the producer or the studios, and their job is to sell tickets, and they're not going to sell tickets if they make Last House on the Left. They're going to sell tickets if they make Star Wars or something that has to be so homogenized that anyone could watch it. They cannot make niche movies. They can't, because they'll lose their shirts. And that's where independents and B movies succeed, is because they can take a risk, and occasionally they'll get noticed and picked up, but they're daring enough to take the risk and go, I don't care if I'm the only one that sees this idea or this potential. This is how we're going to do it. And that doesn't happen on major productions because there's so much money at stake. They can't afford to make one risk. It's all got to be. They got to play it safe every step of the way.
And that's why we see like reboot after reboot anymore. What was successful back in the day? Well, let's just make that again.
Yeah, they're selling the title.
Yeah, why did Poltergeist need to be remade?
Why do we have to? Aren't they on the third?
Genius idea was that.
Aren't they remaking Friday the 13th?
I think so, yeah.
Or are they remaking the Nightmare on Elm Street because they messed up Freddy so bad with the child molester story?
Aren't they remaking? Yeah, aren't they rebooting Halloween again?
Oh my god, yeah, like that was one movie with when Rob Zombie remade it. Like you missed, and I like Rob Zombie, but he missed the point of so many things. Like we didn't need a big backstory of why he did this. It was good when we didn't really know why Michael Myers was the way he was. He was like a force of nature. He just kind of killed because
a force
of
of evil.
Exactly, and that was like part of the appeal of it. And it's like they try explaining it more. It's like the remake of Black Christmas when it's like they try to give the
character too much backstory.
Yeah, too much backstory. It's like, no, you missed an integral part. Like sometimes less detail is more. And I feel like a lot of bigger companies are like, well, people aren't going to like that. They're not going to understand that. Like we need to hold their hand to explain every bit of it. And it's like, no, people like to analyze things and think about films that they're watching.
Now,
right. Yeah, I agree. You said it. No one could have said it better than you just did.
There's another question that gets brought up to us sometimes, and that is every movie that's independently made considered a B movie? Is it a B movie just because it's independently made? And that's what I say is no.
I don't think so.
Because someone brought up to me the movie Moon. Have you ever seen Moon? It's about one man who manages this space station on the moon, and if I say anything more than that, it will spoil the entire movie. But it's a fantastic movie. But it was whoever brought it up to me says it was an independent movie, low budget. You really only have like the one actor and like two other people that show up once, on a video screen. And I said like absolutely like no, that this just because it's independent does not mean that it's a B movie. Like the movie, like everything works out perfectly for it. And I mean that's to me one of the things in a B movie is something has to either look like it has gone wrong or like purposely meant to look that way.
Or both.
Or both. Or something like went wrong that like doesn't seem like it went wrong, like just if the acting is like just different than what the concept of the movie is trying to be, like you can just it can be thrown off that way. I mean it's kind of like the movie The Room. Like it's supposed to be this very serious drama, but just because of Tommy Wiseau and the people he has in the movie and their acting ability, it just comes off as this like it comes off as a black comedy when it's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, going on that, I think that kind of like what you said, I think a B movie has to have some kind of budgetary or like restriction that they have to get through. Like it's where they don't have all the resources that they need and they have to, kind of be creative. I think that part of what makes a B movie fun is whether it's successful or not is it's overcoming some kind of restriction that an A movie run by a big company has. And
right, and people don't get that, and that a typical B movie back in the day when they did B movies was like 100,000, and then you had companies like Monogram and PRC and even AIP, American International Pictures. They made B movies for other companies that then would release them, and they get a percentage of the share, but. They knew the bottom line. They knew we can't spend a fortune on these movies because we're only going to make this much back. And I read somewhere Monogram, who gets a lot of shit about making terrible movies, which is not the case. They made some really good movies. But the average profit on one of their movies in the 40s was $1,982. That was the average profit of each one of their B movies. So if you're operating on that kind of a profit margin, which even then wasn't huge, these people knew exactly how many days they needed, how much this. They had it down to a science, because if they spent more, they were losing money. So they had a little racket going, and I think some of them did really well. But the majors saw, wow, these guys are making these little movies. Let's just take the ideal and pump millions and millions and millions of dollars into it and do the same thing. Jaws is a big budget B movie. It's nothing more. That's all it is. It's a big budget B movie. Well made, granted, and with some, Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss and the other guy, they weren't slouches in the day.
But there's just that one line that throws it into that category, and that's, I think we're going to need a bigger boat. And just that line in and of itself.
It's a glossy version of what has come before a million times. They're just putting it in a different package. That's all.
Pretty much, yeah.
And I think that's another thing that makes some movies B movie, or gives it that quality, is just the one-liners, just the sense of humor that some of these people have. And that's another great quality.
Advertising. Let's talk about how they used to advertise movies. I mean, if you look at a movie poster today, they're terrible. They're boring. They're unimaginative. Typically, all they have are floating heads. I mean, you look at a movie poster from the '60s or whatever. I mean, look at the poster for Land That Time Forgot, or Invasion of the Blood Farmers, or whatever. I mean, they were very imaginative, and they were really trying to sell the concept. And you look at a movie, I would never see a movie today based on the poster.
What's it?
Never.
I forget what company it is. They're re-releasing a lot of 80s horror movies right now, and using concepts from the poster art. And the one that really stands out to me is Motel Hell, because you've got the guy with the pig head and the chainsaw, and you've got some other stuff going on in the corner. And then, just stuff is going on all over the poster, and you were just like, what the hell is going on here?
Well, I think I like the poster for,
right, is the guy in the pig head on the poster? Because he wasn't in the original. It showed the two people, and it said it takes all kinds of critters to make Farmer Vincent's fritters, and it shows the people with their heads sticking out of the ground. The pig was in the trailer, and I didn't like Motel Hell. I think it was cleverly marketed, but I think they did that because they didn't know what kind of movie they had. It wasn't a horror movie. It was a black comedy.
The most movie.
The chainsaw pig thing was just a small part of it, which I thought was the best part.
That's what I was going to say.
It was so disappointing to suffer through that movie, only to, the payoff was limited to none.
There's about 5 minutes of it.
Yeah, I mean, that movie could have been fun. And the director is a good director, Kevin Connor. He did Land That Time Forgot, People That Time Forgot. He did a lot of stuff. He's a British filmmaker, but he's a good director. I just think the material was just bizarre. Or maybe they decided we're not going to make it a horror movie, we're going to make it a comedy. But it certainly had potential that I think got missed.
Yeah, well, that's a big thing with entertainment in general, is how it's basically advertised. There's so many bad Hollywood films, or even books that are out where the description will sound good and it'll get people hyped, and then people will like it. It's this movie wasn't that good. It's just you were hyped for it beforehand, and yeah, it's
right.
I think that's a lot to do with it. If you can get people talking about something, then it should still be good to be remembered, but it'll still kind of succeed regardless.
And that's why you see a lot of movies today, like the new Star Wars movies, where what do they tell you about the movie really before it comes out? It's the new Star Wars movie. Yeah. They don't want to tell you what's going on in it, because then you'll know, I don't want to go see this.
It's a New Hope part.
Yeah, well, and they oversat. See, things are so different than when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you opened up the newspaper to see what was playing at the theater, and you looked at the black and white poster in the newspaper, and hopefully you knew someone that saw it. There's word of mouth, or you saw the trailer, but I mean, it was exciting. It was an adventure. Everything today is so oversaturated that by the time you go to see the movie, you've already seen it. You already know what's going on.
You fill in a little.
Yeah, you fill in a little, and again, that's because these movies have such limited shelf life anymore. They just have to shove it down your throat to get your ass in the seat the first weekend. Is after that, ticket sales fall off, and then people forget about the movie. I mean, how sad is that? I mean, how sad is that something like that is here and gone that quickly? It should last, something like that should last a long time. It should be in the theater for months and months and months.
Definitely.
But again, you're spending $180 million for, at this point in theatrical runs, your first weekend is what they base the success of the movie on. It's rare that a movie does better the second week than it did the first. It does happen, but for the most part, it's like after the first week, that movie's dropping off. Some other big dud coming out. Often by the same studio, but it's oversaturated, and the payoff's never good, and it's here and gone. It's sad. I guess things change, but never used to be like that.
Well, I love just thinking about trailers. One of the movies we watched recently was Twins of Evil, and the old horror ones where they told you the title like 5 or 6 times in that great narrator voice, and they played like 2 clips like between that, and you'd get like a 5-second snippet, and then like this clip that you've seen 3 or 4 times, and then the title, then a new snippet, the same clip you've seen 3 or 4 times, and then the title. And I love those trailers because you're like, what are they not showing? Like, if they keep showing me this one part, what are they not showing me? Like, are they not showing me it because they know it's not quality, or are they not showing it because they don't want to ruin what's happening? Like, I think it's the latter.
I think they did it, some movies they did it because there was nothing good to show, but most often than not, that was a way of luring people into the theater because, not only did they have a nice glossy poster, but they used to have one-sheets and lobby cards. They don't do that anymore, but you used to go into the movie and you could see what was playing next week. There would be a poster, there'd be lobby cards that would show you scenes. It'd be like, wow, I'm coming back. They don't do that anymore, and a lot of times the lobby cards would fill in the blanks, the poster would fill in the blanks, and some of the press kit material that would be in the paper. So, there was this stream of feeding you the movie a little bit at a time, because it was cheaper, and that's all they could afford to do, and even radio ads. But now it's just like it's shoved down your throat immediately and so fast that you don't even have time to take it in and think about it. And it's the way people are programmed. People's attention span is less than it used to be. So I guess maybe they have to count. I mean, someone gets paid a lot of money to come up with these theories or whatever how to market a movie, but it just seems like it's the.
So my favorite trailers are still the ones for like Attack of the 60-Foot Woman and things like that, where it's just the narrator talking about like the plot. It's like, you won't believe your eyes, and it's like, I miss trailers like that because they kind of tell you the plot, but you still wanted to see it.
And people are so jaded today. They'd laugh at something like, "You won't believe your eye." Yeah, right. I could go on the internet and see things that'll shock me. I don't need you to tell me about it. Unfortunately, that's also comes into play. You almost can't outshock or out sensationalize something today because people are just so numb to all that because of social media and the emergence of the internet and things like that. It's changed the game, so to speak.
I was fortunate enough a couple of years ago to go to, there was a local one-screen theater that was doing a 45th anniversary screening of Night of the Living Dead with an original 35mm print, and it was the first time my wife had ever seen the movie. And in the movie, when Ben slaps Barbara because she's getting hysterical, the theater like erupted in laughter, and I just like my jaw like hit the floor. I'm like, what is wrong with you people, or why are you laughing at this scene? Like, this is not a comedy. It's it's not funny, like, for a man just to slap a woman, like like you said, like, just views have been skewed so much about films and people thinking, oh, this is shocking, this or that. In the context of, 1968 for a man of, black skin to hit a woman of white skin, especially on screen when he's the lead character most, pretty much. It was just so powerful for the time, and to see that it's reduced to, today's society, oh, that's funny, he hit her. Like,
Yeah, well, yeah, because they could turn on TV, they could turn on any reality show and see 10 times worse.
Pretty much.
Yeah, people are just jaded, and it would take a lot to shock a person today, I think, in the true sense of the word.
and I always liked it, that the whole shock factor when people are like, oh, I've seen the worst that movies can give me. I've seen The Human Centipede, and I'm like, have you seen Cannibal Holocaust? And they go, no. I said, then you need to go watch Cannibal Holocaust. And they never
That's
do.
a rough.
There's
It's a rough.
we
There's very few movies. There's very few movies that I think hold up as far as their shock factor. Cannibal Holocaust is certainly one of them, and I would have to say, I Spit on Your Grave is another. The original.
Definitely.
Paul and I had an anthropology class together in college, and we watched the movie Rollerball to talk about society and the influence of things on it. And we asked our professor, we were like, hey, have you ever seen Cannibal Holocaust? Because it's about an anthropologist. And he was like, no. Like, we were like, well, would you like to see it? And we told him about it. He's like, sure. He's like, maybe we can even watch it in class if it's, anthropologically, like, accurate of how we study and stuff. And so I brought him my copy of it. We went to class the next time. Went up to his desk after class was over, and he hands the movie back to me, and he goes, "No." And then he just no. And then we were like, "Oh, was it not appropriate?" He goes, "Oh, it was a wonderful." He said it was a great movie. He said it was very accurate to how anthropologists study civilizations, but I cannot show this here because even though I'm tenured, I will get fired.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's like...
And it's one piece of film that we always say, like, if you are interested in film or you love film, you have to see it at least once because it just has such great impact.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about that one.
Actually, I saw it once. I mean, it is a good movie, but I don't think I could ever watch it again.
I've seen it 3 or 4 times, and every time there are certain scenes where I clench my fists so hard because it's so hard for me to watch what's going on screen.
Yeah, I watched it once.
Yeah, it's rough. Another movie I thought was powerful, and this may sound shocking from a guy like me, but the original Lord of the Flies. Did you ever see that movie?
No, I've only read about half the book.
The original movie that was made in 1961, I think, in black and white. That movie is powerful. Even today, that movie is like, it could have been made yesterday, but man, that movie, and it's a really low budget movie too. It was made by some British company, and they used, they shot it over a summer break, and they used all these kids who'd never acted before, and it's just a really striking film made by people who I don't think had ever made a movie before. And it's a little rough around the edges, but it works. But wow, that movie still has an impact, however 50-some years, 60 years later. It's incredible.
Yeah. That's one thing that's a shame is you talk to a lot of people about film, and a lot of people can't look at the time period and appreciate things of how it was made back then. Like, I recently watched the 1925 version of Phantom of the Opera, and it's an amazing film. I mean, it's all in black and white. It's a silent film, but it's a great film. Like, it's the visuals and how they tell the story. Like, it's absolutely a phenomenal experience. But so many people I've talked to, it's like, why would you watch a silent film? Like, well, because it's a good film.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is another really
Great
good
film.
Oh yeah, that's definitely.
But I worked at a haunted house for the first time this past October, and at our little like orientation thing, one of the things they asked was, what's your favorite movies, and of course I was 10 years older than anybody else that was just starting working there, and they were all in their late teens, and every one of them said something that came out like within the last year. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, when I was your age, my favorite movies were like The Evil Dead and John Carpenter's The Thing, like movies that came out before I was born. Like it just it amazes me because today, like you said, if it's not thrown up in your face, kids today and people today, they don't go to see it. Like, I mean, even when we were growing up, and Paul and I aren't that old, I mean, we had to search things out. Like, you couldn't just, hop on the internet and, see what's what.
Yeah. And I think, in a way, John and I were lucky because I think we were, to a degree, we were born at the right time to at least experience movies that we never would have seen because, when we were kids, there was only a few channels, and then all of a sudden, cable TV came out. It's like, wow, now there's all this stuff to watch, and then the explosion of home video, and then DVD. I mean, we were exposed to so many different genres and different movies. Had those not occurred, or we would have been born a little bit sooner or a little bit later, I don't think we would have experienced them to their fullest. And it was just so neat watching movies on TV you never heard of, or referencing them in monster books and magazines. Like, oh yeah, this is mentioned. It's on TV. Let's watch it. Or going into the video store and looking at all the boxes and picking out what you wanted. And a lot of it you never heard of because it never got huge release, or it was retitled, or it was a Italian movie or a German movie or Spanish movie or something like that. But it was just real cool.
When we still had the video stores around here, like I would see kids in the stores, and I just wanted to like grab them by the shoulders and shake them and be like, "Do you know how lucky you are to be walking around a video store right now?"
Yeah, they're gone.
It's
except
really
for
something culturally that I truly miss, and when I have kids and they're old enough, I will probably drive cross country to find like a video store just to be like, "Hey kids, this is what we used to do to find movies."
Packing hard.
Yeah. I think Family Video is the only big chain left.
And that's who we had around here. And two of them closed down within the last year. There's still one somewhere in the area, but it's somewhere and I don't know how to get to it.
Yeah, I think Redbox is hurt. I mean, Family Videos, they have like 900 or 880 stores, but I would think Redbox is hurt. And I'm not a real good predictor of emerging technology because when I was in high school, we had our first computer class, and it was such a frustrating experience because the teacher teaching it didn't know anything about computers. The computers never worked. They split our class up on different days, so that he was always confused as to what our assignment was, and it was just a huge exercise in frustration. And on the last day of school, I threw my notebook in the garbage, and I said, "We will never use a computer for anything when we get older." And look where we are now. I said the same thing about nonlinear editing. Someone said, "Hey, yeah, you can edit a movie on a computer." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. I edit on tape or film." Look where we are now. And then someone said, "Redbox, yeah, it's like this kiosk." I thought, "Oh, that won't last." And I was wrong every time, so I can't predict technology. But I'm shocked Redbox lasted.
Yeah, and it was funny too because Blockbuster tried to do that to survive. They had their blue boxes, but Redbox had just already cornered the market, so to say.
Well, Blockbuster was always behind the 8 ball, so.
Yeah. I actually don't think Redbox is going to be around much longer since streaming is becoming so much easier. Like, now they've got, like, different genres specifically for streaming. Like, they've got Shudder for horror films and all this other stuff, so it's... I don't predict it being around much longer, but I have no idea, to be honest. I think it'd be...
Yeah, well, I mean, if you can take the equation out of people having to do something to exert themselves, it'll be successful. The only reason I think Redbox is successful is because they're always by Walmarts.
Pretty much, yeah.
And they're like the biggest chain store, so anyone who goes into a Walmart is going to find them. But had they been across the street next to a Dairy Queen, I bet you they wouldn't be half as successful. So you have to wonder if they're tied in with Walmart somehow, because you never see a Walmart without a Redbox. I'm sure there are other places, but
It's one of those things I always say is it's a race. Who's going to rule the world, Walmart or Disney? Like that's my big question.
Well, I think at this point
Both.
Amazon's got like is in the running for that.
Until Amazon is acquired by like Disney, and then it's all over.
yeah, I don't. And again, you have video on demand and streaming. I have a Roku, and you can get these free channels. And there's this one horror channel. I don't even remember what it's called, but it's got like 1,300 different movies, and I know half of them aren't public domain, so I don't know how legal it is. But
A lot of those
it's
have like the commercials.
well, people don't even have to leave their home to go watch a movie anymore.
Because I love my Roku. I mean, I've watched plenty of stuff on there. Because we have a chain around here that sells used movies, and I'll see stuff, and then the first thing I'll do, I'll pull out my phone, see, okay, is it on Amazon Prime for free? No, well, let me know. You can know what this is. I go home, I flip through my 4 or 5 different, because the Roku has like 1,000 different, like just horror or grindhouse movie channels.
Yep.
I'll flip through, is it free on here anywhere, before I, go and spend the money on it. And 9 times out of 10, it's on one out of those like 8 horror movie channels I have on Roku for free.
Yeah, and you wonder how. And how do they make money? How does a channel like that make money?
Some of them have commercials in the movies, and some of them have like a feature where it's like the movie's free but with commercials, or 99 cents to watch without commercials.
Yeah, well, a lot of times I get like 20 minutes into most of them, and it just stutters and stops, so I rarely finish anything. But it is an interesting concept, but again, it's as a business, the profit margin on something like that's extremely low. So I think it's volume. You have to make it up in volume.
And then I always thought Netflix was gonna die like early on. Like I was always a big like Netflix is stupid, until like I got Netflix in like 2012.
We have it, but we often watch Hulu more than we watch Netflix.
Yeah, Hulu's more with like movies, whereas like Netflix is more like different TV shows. I think.
Nowadays. Because I remember watching Netflix in college because Paul had it, and there were like a whole 15 movies that you could stream, and you've never heard of any of them.
Yeah, that really came full circle. Like, I don't think most people thought streaming was going to really pick up, but I kind of thought it might be, because back like before that, people were torrenting films and finding ways to download them, because it's like, okay, I can go to the movie theater, watch this for like $8 at the minimum, and it may or may not be good, or I can try to find it somewhere in a video store, like drive all the way there and it might suck and spend $20 on it, or I can find it on the internet for free, and you're not really supposed to, but there were ways to do it if you really wanted to. But then streaming came along. It's like, all right, to get rid of the hassle of maybe getting a virus and technically breaking the law, I'll spend like a couple bucks a month and I have all these movies. So it ended up being a really smart idea, because if I remember correctly, like torrenting and downloading went down a lot after that.
Yeah, well, I mean, and again, in a business model, if you're at the top of the food chain on that kind of an idea, then you're doing great. But for the rest of them, it's got to be a struggle. I mean, again, it just shows you how disposable stuff has become. People don't even want to spend 99 cents to watch a movie; they'd rather steal it. So it's always, when you're no matter what you do, it's always a battle. There's always some new kind of technology that you have to embrace, but then there's also the abuse of it that hurts you. So. It's a catch-22, but you can't really look at it that way. Because there's always going to be people that steal movies and steal stuff because they're just too lazy to pay for it, or they think they're entitled to it for nothing, which I don't agree with at all.
It's like somebody worked really hard to make this, and you're just gonna like find it online for free. It's like
Yeah. Well, I use the analogy like this. It's someone stealing your movie is no different than me taking that person's brand new car after they just drove it home and they want to go show it to someone, and I take it without asking them, and I let my friends drive it around, and their friends drive it around, and then eventually I decide to take it back and pull it in their driveway and say, hey, yeah, we enjoyed your car, but now it's not worth anything. It's the same thing. You're taking somebody's work and stealing it, passing it around. I'm not a fan of BitTorrent sites. I think they should all be taken down because it's illegal. It's stealing and it's illegal. But until somebody sues the ass off of companies and YouTube and places like this, it'll continue to happen, and that's what it's going to take. If I was a major company and I saw my movie on YouTube, I wouldn't go after the person that put it up. I'd sue YouTube. That's when they're gonna crack down on people that do the stuff like that because they don't care. I tried to fight that battle once, not with them, but with someone else, and they just pass you along, and they're not gonna kick someone off their server who's paying them money.
Yeah.
They're gonna lose money. So it really is a skewed way of dealing with something, and until someone major with money takes a stand and does something about it, nothing will ever change. And I hope that day comes. If one of these companies got a $180 million, $200 million lawsuit and lost, you can damn well bet they'd be checking every person on their server to see what material they have up.
That just reminds me of like what happened in Napster.
Yeah.
And it was like a week ago or something. My wife came home from work and she was like, "We were listening to Napster at work today." I'm like, "What?
That's still
what are you talking about?" Yeah, apparently Napster's now a pay service.
That's good at least.
Like I don't know if it's the same Napster or not, but it was just one of those like things. I was like Napster hasn't existed since like 1998. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I remember like a few years ago there was a big like controversy about like BitTorrent and the Pirate Bay and things like that, and people were like, "Oh, well, it's not really stealing." And I'm like, "Well, isn't it? Like, aren't you just arguing that you should have the right to take something for free?" I mean, I couldn't figure out the argument, but people were getting so mad about it. I'm like, you don't actually own the rights to the film, right?
No, there is no argument. If you upload somebody's movie that isn't yours or you aren't licensing, it's stealing, period. It doesn't take anyone with half a brain to figure that out. If you disagree, you're foolish and you're lying to yourself, and maybe 10 years in jail would change your opinion, but it's stealing, period. There is no other way to put it.
Pretty much. I do think that like the streaming sites, the ones you pay for like a monthly now, really kind of have really helped with like getting rid of like the illegal downloading, like because you really don't hear about it that much more like nowadays. I'll talk to people who use iTunes and things like that, and they really don't have a problem paying for it because it's
available.
Yeah, it's available, and like really like. It seems like it's such a pain to like torrent things. It's like, you're one, breaking the law, two, probably going to get a virus on your computer, which will end up costing a lot more than that movie you wanted. So I guess that's
payback's a bitch.
Yeah, so karma comes in the form of cyber terrorism.
Right. Well, again, and a lot of people may just be plain ignorant as to what they're doing, Again, the digital age has not helped the matters much because it's easier to, it's so much easier to take a movie and put it up there and let people see it. Now, you can't blame the people that watch it because they don't know, but the person who uploads it, the one who physically did the uploading and has put it out there, they're the ones responsible. They're the ones that should be penalized. We had a movie, Dark Sleep, that was, we didn't realize it was on YouTube for 3 months, and it had 80,000 hits. Now, we should have legally been able to charge that person that uploaded it or YouTube $10 a hit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair, isn't it? I'd settle for $5. You put our movie up there, and it lots of people saw it for free who shouldn't have. This is fair value. We should
Especially
have been.
now that YouTube is in the
We should have been able to
business.
bill somebody for that. We should have been able to bill YouTube or the person that put it up there.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they're in that
Because-
rental business now. I mean, I see it all the time. Oh, this movie, $3.99, $4.99 to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, but to put it up there and think that think you have the right to do that, and then other people watch it, I can't believe YouTube allows what they do. I mean, I'm not busting on YouTube because there's a lot of good, but there's a lot of stuff on YouTube that I just don't. Who's minding the children? That's the question. Who's minding the children?
Yeah. Well,
And
with YouTube, there's
YouTube,
like,
they do not do a good job policing their platform.
yeah. I think with YouTube, there's like so many people on it. Plus, there's like a couple tricks I'll see people do is like they'll have a different like border around the film, around the movie playing, where I guess it makes it harder for people to track it because it's not just the movie. It's like they'll have the movie will be like on a surrounded by like a picture, and for some reason that like makes it harder for like YouTube officials to find. There's also some people will speed up the movie slightly, and that like makes it harder because it'll be like a different amount of time in the actual running time. And they're like little tricks people do, and I think like now people are starting to catch on to it. But I noticed that for a while, like there are like certain things that like will kind of that YouTube won't be able to notice, and people will have movies running for like sometimes like years, and it's definitely it's clever. I mean, it's dishonest, but like I think they're catching up, and unfortunately there's always going to be something that like YouTube and like other sites haven't figured out yet, and then until they do, they can't really do too much with it.
Right. But again, it's unfair to the people who worked on the movie to have somebody do that. I guess to me, I don't understand why somebody would do that. I mean, why would someone do that?
Now, speaking
It's
of
just
people in movies, there's a question I've wanted to ask for a while. When you guys made Splatter Farm, and I can't remember the actor's name, but Jeremy's grandma, how exactly did you go about asking her to be in the film?
She was that was the guy that played Jeremy. That was his real grandmother. She owned the farm we filmed at, so we had to put her in it because we didn't have anybody else, and she agreed to do it. So
Dude, that's pretty awesome. Like, especially the scene she's in. Like, I can only imagine like going up to was it you or your brother who ended up getting molested by her?
that was me. Yeah, no, we explained everything very carefully, and she understood what was going on, and yeah, it's gross, but again, a lot more is implied in some of those scenes than you see, which was clever on our part, but still gross. But we explained the scene, what we needed to do, and she was cool with it. I mean, she was a neat person, just in general. And I don't know if she's still alive. I lost track of her. I suppose I should find out. That would be interesting. I saw her once, years and years ago, and we had, she laughed about it. We had a good conversation, and I've never seen her since. So I sadly, I don't know the fate of Aunt Lacey.
Well, that's what we've said before, is like her performance in that movie, like it may in fact be one of the best performances ever. When you look at the backstory for Aunt Lacey, where her brother raped her son is this homicidal maniac,
The shock,
and she's just in total shock, and that's just how she goes along with everything. As we said, like when you really look at it, like she is just so perfect in that role. Like,
Oh yeah.
She is. She did a great job, and she really, we had to work with her, but she still, we had a script, and we rehearsed, and she was on board the whole time. I mean, it was, we were very fortunate. She could have thrown us out at any point, and I probably would have thrown me out at certain points too.
What's funny is, speaking of Splatter Farm, I was for some reason a couple weeks ago watching The Walking Dead. Like, I don't know why I keep watching that show.
It's a train
terrible.
wreck.
Yeah, it's like they've drawn me in, and I just can't get away yet. But at one point, the character Negan says to another character, like, "Got a name, asshole?" And all I can think of was in Splatter Farm when they say to Jeremy, "Got a brain, asshole?"
Yeah, that's where they're eating. If you look close, Todd actually almost starts to he laughs, but then he does that snickers to cover up for it. Well, yeah, like all we have for lunch is 3 pieces of sliced ham and a glass of water or something. I can't even remember.
The lemonade.
That's how
clear.
there that production was.
Oh man.
It was fun to make, though. I have to admit, a lot of good memories making that. It was ahead of its time, that's for sure.
Definitely, it's a fun film to watch. Like, just like seeing everything and like knowing like you guys were pretty young when you guys made that film, so it's like just
17.
Yeah. It's a fun film. I think that like really personifies, at least to us, like B movies. It's like we've got an idea, we're gonna make this film no matter what, and you know, there's a lot to appreciate about films like that, and I feel bad for people who like just overlook things, or it's like, oh, you know, it's a low budget film, I'm not going to pay attention to that. Like, I listen to a lot of like other reviewers, and they'll look at like, you know, low budget films, and all they'll do is criticize it, and like, the movie wasn't that bad. Like, you're just looking for reasons to criticize it, and it's really a shame, like, because there's so much to appreciate about films like Splatter Farm, films like just a lot of different low budget films, and that's one thing with this podcast we've always tried to do is just try to like
we give a top and bottom 3, like what we look for what's good, and you know, movies like that we're like, oh, I love this movie. Well, what could be different about it, or what could be improved, or what don't we like about it? Like, you have to look at the whole spectrum of everything to really appreciate what it is.
It's like our tagline is...
Yeah, because, you know, and that's a good point, because, you know, when making a movie is hard, and, you know, when you're on the set and there's things going wrong, you're constantly thinking, you're constantly trying to move things ahead. You don't often have time to stop and think about, oh, well, how's someone going to react to this or that, you know, and sometimes you take shortcuts, but at the end of the day, you made a movie, and it's easy to look back at hindsight is easier than foresight. So it takes me a couple years to watch a movie after I've finished it, because you're still so close to it with should have been this, should have been that, you know, whatever. But you know, you don't. When you're on the other side, it's easy to look at it and go, oh, why did we do that, or we should have done this, or why didn't we do this? But you know, it's too late then. It's too late. You live with your decisions, and the film is what it is because of those decisions, or lack of them, or good decisions, or some kind of a spontaneous idea. It works for it or against it, and there's no such thing as a perfect movie on any level. Certainly not the budgets we work with, but it's a miracle. We should call ourselves miracle films. It's a miracle this movie.
Definitely. It's just, I think overall it's just about having fun and knowing that, like, you've got an idea, you're going to make it, and you're just kind of making it for the art of making a film, not, like, to make money or to, I mean, make money's nice and all that, but it's like, you know, just the idea of, like,
that would be, occasionally would be nice. Yeah, you know, if I did this for money, I'd have given it up a long time ago and picked a sensible profession. But yeah, you really have to love it to stick with it. And it's funny because, you know, through the years when we started making movies, there was a lot of people doing it, and very few of them survived. You know, very few of them made more than 1 or 2 movies, and they just disappeared. My brother and I, and, you know, I singularly, have made almost 50. So that's, you know, that says something. And I always tell filmmakers that, it's like, you're going to have people that criticize you. You're going to have people that don't get it. You're going to have people that think they can do better. And, you know, here's what you tell those people. Get beside me, get behind me, but don't get in front of me, because that's what you're doing. And you know, anyone who makes a movie, anyone who makes 50 movies, despite whether you like what they've done, or some are good or some are bad, you can't take that away from somebody. There's more there's something there that you can't take away from somebody, despite what you want to, how you want to classify them or their films or whatever. Not many people can do that. Not many people would do that. So that's advice to low budget filmmakers, is just to hang in there and do it for you.
So, I mean, a B movie is something that you really have to define for yourself, but it's got those quirks that make it unique or make it fun for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's self-defining, I think. I think a B movie is self-defining,
Yeah, I think when you think about it, B movies are the most pure form of film there is now, because it's just an idea somebody has and it's just completely theirs and not like a corporate kind of thing. Like, even if it's made in like a small production company, it's still a work of art where, whether it fails or not, it is purely their vision. And I think right now, B movies are, like I said, the purest form of filmmaking.
Yeah, because there's no interference. There's no, we have to do it because of this demographic. We have to do this because it opens on March, a big weekend in March, or we've got to beat the July big rush of summer. Yeah, we're making movies because we love making movies the way we want to make movies.
Well, Mark, thanks for coming on with us again. It's been fun chatting.
Definitely.
Thank you. I'd love to come back. It was great. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. It means as much to me as it does to you, so thanks.
Thank you very much.
Get on my next call.